You okay?
Yes, thank you. Are you?
I'm fine. How's weather today?
Raining.
Yes, here as well in Leeds. Exactly the same.
I think
Uh,
the summer's gone.
yes. So yesterday was, quite. Yesterday was 26, and now it's today. It's totally changed.
Yes, it's certainly chillier today.
Yes. Yesterday evening was, but daytime was really good. Yeah.
Yes, we had sunshine, but then it clouded over in the afternoon, so it was a bit less nice.
Okay. So, any question before starting, please, if you have?
No, just read through it and just quite happy to carry on.
Great, thank you. Good to hear. And we'll start, today our LO3. And then we have LO4, and then we'll do assignment discussion. So all the resources available on our Moodle page, please always, whenever you have any question, ask. So we'll start maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Hope other will join us. And then, so I can share in the meanwhile the slide with you.
Okay.
And we have ACCA book, which is the F4 exam, which is called last line accounting. So it's exactly the same, which is content exactly the same, which we can pick, some legislation from gov.uk, which is quite good to look around. Like, of course, a lot of legislation carry on changing. We look today corporate governance ethics, malpractices, and which will go through the fraud and bribery. That's unfortunately the happening new standard carry on coming. Of course, we have ethical standard, but still, like Carillion Construction Company, 75 million pension shortfall. So that's one of examples where the why this happened, and Enron and various other creative accounting, as well as of course tax planning is illegal, but sometimes is the question is, of course, we're getting the fees from the client, and client want this way, but we have moral ethical principle, those which we look, some of them. And relating money laundering legislation, we have these different sort of legislation. Computer Misuse Act 1990, offense and penalties under the Computer Misuse Act can be. We have a cybercrime act. This carry on chaining as well. Of course, a lot of cybercrime carry on happening. So these which we look, some of them. We have GCHQ, which is all about dealing with these sort of issues. And today our key focus will be 3.1, which is about the relationship between the legal principle, legislation, case law, and ethical code. Ethics are the moral principle which come under the civil law. Penalties can be membership can be revoked, which is set by IESB, which is International Ethical Standard Board, Federation of Accountant, and then of course these ethics. So we look, explain element and the consequences of malpractices. So please, we have on IFA website as well, a lot of these discussion and element where we can pick the examples as well to use. Other than that, we can use ACCA article on these, which is carry on ACCA, carry on publishing. So if we Google it, say, whichever legislation malpractices, ACCA, ethics or moral principles, so we can find articles, and we can pick the stuff which we can use. So explain the consequences of malpractices. Fraud, of course, depends the nature of, like, data protections and all. It can be up to 10% of the turnover can be fined to companies. So those we can look around. It's a huge, of course, so if we not follow the laws, it can be leads to the criminal. And of course, we need bundle of evidence to charge, and offenses and penalties related to the money laundering, which will look, the how long imprisonment can be up to 14 years. And if we're tipping off, these can be, so explain the offenses and penalties relating to computer misuse and the cybercrime. Of course, to tackle these, we need a clearly SOP, standard operating procedures in place. So that will help, to reduce these crimes. Okay, those we need to look around. So we have 3.1. We can look around a relationship between legal and principal legislation, case laws, and ethical codes. So those we look today, which we'll go through in a minute. We'll drop them again. Message for further will join, and then we'll start. Okay, so we'll look 3.1, which is about ethics and moral principles. Ethics mean the code of conduct. Just a minute. So ethics are the moral principle. So to easily remember, we have these 5 professional code of ethics. Those will go through, if you remember, of ACCA, ATHE, IFA, or various other awarding body. These are common, code of ethics which we have to follow. So, like, sometime accountant can say, I will charge you the fees. I'll save you tax this, and I'll charge you this fees. No, because the contingent fees, which is linked with the condition, so we're not supposed to, and we're not supposed to be. It means we can break our code of ethics. So PPI, CIO, popular people chat in offices, which is mean, to remember some people are very famous when they carry on chatting in office. So PPCIO, so which we can look around. First P is the professional behaviors. So we can look around as accountant, unbiased, true and fair information, and compliance with all the rules. And second is the professional competencies and due care. So which will mean up-to-date knowledge. If we working in accounting profession or any other profession, really, if we are a member of any awarding body, if you're employed by 37 hours per week at a full time, so we're supposed to be do 35 hours a year in the CPD. What is the CPD? Continuous professional development. So if you want to attend, there is quite good ATHE branch network events that can be absolutely free. ACCA webinars and branch events can be free as well. Most of them are free, so that can be look around. Other than that, if we'll go on, not sure we've been to Open Learn. So there are plenty of courses are free for the CPD, so that's quite good to do in your time. And if you look here, so you can find these courses, which is OpenLearn is the website of Open University, and these are all different courses which we can look around. Those are absolutely free, and then you can claim the certification after doing our system will generate. So that's quite good. Other is the website is called Future Learn. That's quite good. If you free time, if you want to use time or you want to do CPDs, these some afterwards, how effectively manage things. That's quite good to do. Okay, so of course, we need to mastering skill. We need to be look around confidentiality, clients, working in the best interest of the public. That's, which we need to be look around these things accordingly. Okay, so next we look when we say member of profession bodies such as qualified accountant, often code of ethics, which is we need to be look around. Like sometimes with a question mark, oh, it's the refund and we can get the refund money or third party pays to in our account. So please, the client account, our fees, we should keep it separate. We shouldn't be mixed up. That's, we clearly have the safeguard in place. So duty towards society, we have a clear code of conduct in place, and the contract, clearly we explain to the client. So body of theory and the skills, technical skills, of course, nowadays AI, artificial intelligence, a couple of you, of course, well aware of Chat GBT, which is quite good. We can use it, but we need to be look around, still in the CPDs really matter. Examination of the system, ensure the accountant obtain knowledge through professional confidentiality, and then integrity, working honestly, a common code of values, which, as we mentioned, these standards, and we have an ethical subject as well. We can look around IFA. So you will find here, yes, Federation of Financial Accountant, and you will find there all the relevant, so here are the CPDs. So it's quite good. You can attend, these different CPD events we can as a member of, and those, we can do different courses on money laundering ethics, and you will see these, those are because you will be a member of IFA, and so we have to follow their ethics as well. Okay, so ethics is the law and the regulation, reputation, and standard, and maintain the public confidence, public interest. So always good to be look around sometime, wider interest of the society spirit, and create, So then if we look, the integrity means the straightforward, honest, fair dealing, truthful, not self-interest, self-review. Those we need to be look around. Okay. Objectivity is uncompromised bias, conflict of interest. That we need to be clearly true and fair information, confidentiality. Okay, Khalid, I'll try. Can you hear me okay now? Is it better? Not yet. Okay, give me. I'll try the mic, maybe. Hope so. Will be better now. I tried. Otherwise, I'll use mic. If still not. Is it better now? Hello, is it better now? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we can look around the integrity mean honest, objectivity mean uncompromised, bias or conflict of interest, professional competency, due care mean up to date knowledge, diligence, and confidentiality, not declaring information to third party. And if we need to be always, we look the wider interest of society, and all the legislation really is supposed to be followed, not profession into dispute or so we look, the conceptual framework where the ethics, identify the threats to fundamental, evaluate the threats. And so there are a number of threats which we try to put the safeguard and draw. So ethics come under the principle. Those are, you can set your own ethics as well, not just the professional code of ethics. You create the cultures within the organization. Cultures mean the norms, value, the way we run the organization, clear cut, correct, the course of action in the rules. Rule is the more is legislation really. If we don't follow the rule, will leads to the criminal investigation, and uh, sometime in principle can be very detailed, in the rules sometimes can be loopholes, so we need to be look around the rule based approach, and both have its own advantages. With the rule and the moral principle work together in the wider interest of the stakeholders, so stakeholder theory is becoming more important. than just the shareholder. Okay, companies with the laws. Of course, we have a company at 2006. We have to follow those legislation. If we don't, those laws, that leads to be criminal, like GDPR, Health and Safety Act, Bribery Act, money laundering. We have Equality Act, if you're working and providing employment to people. So that's, which we need to be looking on HR perspective. These all the legislation we have to follow. Like a national minimum wage, of course, when we look, national minimum wage, gov.uk, we have to carry on doing CPD, of course, not breaking those. Of course, when we look the apprenticeship side, of course, national minimum wage is quite less, those we can look around. Of course, a lot of accountant employed people on basis of this, but of course, the wider we can pay more than those national living wage, and to look around the corporate governance, ethical and moral principles. So as we mentioned earlier, in International Federation of Accountants, they carry on following these code of ethics, and all these awarding bodies member of International Ethical Standard Board. We have a consultative committee, accountancy bodies. Of course, they carry on bring the new laws and legislation. We have, of course, HMRC tax related, and now, of course, we have an NCA, National Crime Agency, to investigate these issues. Okay, so business ethics and the professional value, integrity, objectivity, accountability. So one of is openness, honesty. So there are the known principle. If you're a member of any government or institution, like you're working in council or in HMRC, so we have to follow these, the code of ethics as well, so in the best interest of the public. Code of conduct, of course, uh, staff handbook, code of conduct should be given to the employees, and that will help, so we have to set those in the line of ACAS, or we can look around the ethics, which is set by the awarding body. So these we need to be follows, code of practices. Okay, then of course in the organization we have to promote the sustainability. What is the sustainability mean? Meeting the needs of current generation without compromising the needs of the future generation. So we focus on 3 P's: profit, planet, and people. So profit, of course, we want to earn, but the planet we want to care about, and the CSR, corporate social responsibility. So we look in the economic, social, and environmental perspective. No, every organization we follow SDG. SDG stand for Sustainable Development Goals. So that accountant can promote sustainable development goals, like cutting the paper usage, car sharing scheme within the company. So we can look around under the SDGs is the equal opportunities, providing chance to and promote the fairness in society. So these are all come under SDG, sustainable development. So governance risk is mean probability are so always good to be look around the CSR reports nowadays. Of course, if you're in a management perspective as well with the financial accounting, other than for financial statement company are publishing is becoming compulsory and is becoming part of governance. CSR and sustainability report, what you're doing towards, make your business sustainable, what you're doing toward that social responsibility, like, helping local school, water pump schemes, and various other food banks, like, these are, so we have to, that will help, promote goodwill of the company, ultimately bring, and it's our morally and ethical responsibility under ethics, which we have to follow. Okay, so then we have 3.2. Any question, please? 3.1, which will look, the more ethical side within, and we can discuss about ethics or any example of ethical good practices, and we can relate to any organization or some examples. So we have, the booklet, which is one handout is came from Open Tuition. We have a Kaplan and BPP handouts as well. So then explain the element and the consequences of the malpractices, fraud, and bribery. Corruption include illegitimate. Of course, that's the other question mark, like bringing the cash, wages paying through the cash, doing a lot of cash business. That can create a question mark. So which we need to be look around these. The bribery act we have is limited to when you've been bribed, are you giving bribe to any government official here in the UK or abroad is come under and can be leads to the bribery act. So negligence, of course, best omission are not including things. Of course, so we have to try our best, so duty of care, those we need to be care about the client, their properties and their assets and their information. So what financial fraud? Of course, there are a number of financial frauds is carry on happening in pension funds as well as others. Of course, we have a lot of standard IFRS uh, 17 being released, 16, which is property, plant, equipment, and the leases as well. So we have to look around the lease because in the past, the company not used to show the how long the commitment they have, with the lease agreement. So now we have to do the asset against the liability, and then we need to be carry on reducing the liability if we are settling down. So we have to think about those, that type of misleading information intentionally leads to the fraud. Identity theft, mortgage fraud, of course, giving the letters and things, that can be, of course, a lot of discussion on the bounce back loans and various others, credit and the debt, credit card, fake, charities, uh, prize and lottery fraud, or holidays offering to accountant, you can go and stay in our property, you can stay absolutely free. So you have to make the judgment, if not leads to, and even maybe they persuade you towards it because ultimately we work in their best interest. So debt collection fraud and various others. So we have to be clearly SOPs in place, of each. So what is the corruption? Corruption is the bribe and any other behaviors in relation to the person trusted with the responsibility, public or the private sector. So we have to look around these in, and bribery includes excessive hospitality. There is no such rule, but the advice is being given up to £50 is can be acceptable, hospitality as a gift. If it's more than that, like giving minis or cars or gift, the dealers to you as accountant. So this can be leads to the compromise our professional code of ethics, and maybe they say, come on, in terms of the VAT or the VAT return, VATs and taxes or the payroll, a couple of other things are asset, they revalue inventory. So these leads to facilitation of the payments. Additional payment include official to perform routine function that's otherwise obliged to be performed. So we have to look around these. These leads to some of countries in UK can criminalize facilitation payments abroad. Other countries such as United States and don't prohibit such payment. So we have to look around in the bribery act point of view. So which we've been given here. Next, we look around the offering, promising, giving, accepting, getting advantages and inducement. These, which we can look around. Yes, we have a lot of, especially BA system in the past, giving back end money to the prince in Saudi Arabia and all. That was in the social panorama program back in 2012. Of course, wider interest of the public is void any legislation being. So self-regulatory and financial reporting councils is giving a lot of guidance, the safeguard. So we have to look around in the best professional, maybe interpret more, and the sound mind. So your own safeguard, professional judgment, behaviors, the laws, that's and designing on safeguarding. So reactive and proactive approach, taking the responsibility as the negative consequences of accounting practices, but taking any new legislation as a positive contribute to the public interest, because the public interest is very financial world as well, dealing with the public. So we have a lot of downfalls happen in the mindset, because the code of conduct or code of practices to protect our interests as well, not just the public interest as well. So environmental audit, which we can look around us, public interest is a benefit to society rather than the waiting until the society as a whole, requests the guidance. So any legislation, of course, public interest is. So there is a model called the Kaplan, Norton Kaplan, which is given. The author's name was Norton Kaplan, and the model called Balance Scorecard, BSC, Balance Scorecard. So we have to look around the financial, environmental, social, learning perspective, not just one perspective. So wider interest of the public is the key, really we need to look around, and that's which we can embed even in our writing. Next, we have any question, please. If you have, you like to ask, So welcome. 3.2, explain the offenses and penalties. Of course, money laundering, proceed of crime act. We have holding the property or protecting the leads to as well. Saying the money is being legal means, but actually wasn't. So these are all different section of the money laundering. Those we can, of course, in accounts is really matters. Those we can look around proceed crime act and money laundering up to 14 years, tipping off 5 years, and failure to disclose the knowledge or the suspicion of the money laundering. So as accountant, if we feel the properties or the asset being uh, being earned or the profit being generated through these, that can be leads to. So we have to protect the interest and work in the best interest of the wider society. Fraudulent behaviors. So we can look around. Fraud can be defined as the intention, deception. So we need to be look around those. Saying is the error, but actually wasn't. Insider dealing, like in my shares and giving or leaking the information to money laundering, bribery, fraudulent and wrong, uh, full trading. That's it. We can look around, especially in the shares and the public limited company that's carry on happening, giving to the families, close families, shares, and then of course dividends and all. So we can look around the failure to deliver accounts and annual returns and criminal offense. All the director of the company default, could be prosecuted. So a lot of discussion going around. The directors have the limited liability. Of course, they have the limited liability, but if they involve clearly making the losses and showing, the company not on profit, that leads to, and that can be a criminal investigation. So limited liability can be unveiled, so that can be become unlimited. So these, the offenses, even the fines can be. So we can look around different section of the Company Act as well. Of course, we have a clearly article of association which we have to follow, and clearly role and responsibilities and audit internal control. So internal control is play the key role that need to be under section S82 of the Company Act. Criminal offense, they use the business name that require the prior approval. So we look the approval has not been obtained. So criminal offense to fail to disclose the business details and act required. So these all we need to be look around. Company directed disqualification, if the director are cross directorship, and these we need to be look around, and if the family are the own interest, those promote. Okay, so we have different owning companies, the section of the behind Insolvency Act 1986 are the aims to be co-called Phoenix company. Apply these, the person was the director and the shadow director of the company at any time in the period of 12-month ending. So the day before the company went into the liquidation. So we can look around those directors are making the company into liquidate for a couple of reasons, showing the losses, and so is a punishable. Of course, not clear in audit. Audit mean the true and fair information to all your stakeholders. So that's really we need to look around. We can include other legislation as well. 3.4, explain the offenses and the penalty. We have a Computer Misuse Act 1980, the key piece of legislation. Criminalize, the accessing the modifying data stored on the computer, like, modifying the invoice or changing the like zero rate VATs, the product and things, and putting that into the different are becoming more creative. And Computer Misuse Act in the UK defense against the hacking. So of course, you have clearly the system in place, control system, unauthorized access, unauthorized information to third party selling for the sake of, your own interest. So Fraud Act, of course, radically changed, carry on. So we look around the Fraud Act 2006, we have come into force, which is under the Fraud and the Theft Act 1978. Obtain property by deception, obtain a money transfer by deception, obtain the advantages by deception, obtain, service by deception. So these are all, leads to another fraud and can be leads to it can be leads to the money or the false document, false stamps are being proved, the asset was legally, but it even not being, or sometimes, these issues leads to the closure of the companies as well due to the fraud. So maintain the professional independency. The accountant must maintain independence. So accountant and the audit is really need to be avoid the bias, conflict of interest, undue influence on other, your own certain practice, professionalism, awareness, legal accountability, penalties that leads to the accountant need to be can be a disciplinary action from the awarding bodies as well. Maintain your professional independency, uh, financial interest. Of course, we have the interest in term of, but if we are getting the shares from our client, they think we'll give you the shares in the business, then can lead to the conflict of interest. Maybe we're not reflecting through there, and they are showing more in terms of the dividend. So that's really the, so we need to draw the safeguard and consult with so we have to be internal audit or internal control department, better to be a good corporate governance, how the company run and so on. So different, like, the Barclay Bank CEO being paid 2 billion bonus when Barclay Bank not and the single penny profit. So you have a corporate governance not authorizing your director and you can get bonus or the commission as much you want, no, there should be a clearly compliance, self-interest, intimidation. These are leads to, and we have to draw the safeguard. So we look, these different types of risk, interest leads to and compromise or ethics. So we have a Bribery Act 2010. Bribe broker when person offer or give the promise to the financial or other advantage to another individual in exchange of we are performing of the relevant function. So if you say we'll give you this, you will go holidays, you will get the contract, you will get the tenders. These are unfortunate on the professional levels a lot, if you look in the company and corporate governance. Acting in the sufficient expertise, that's other, which we need to be look around, carry on upskilling. Of course, things are changing, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain. So these are which we can explore these, technologies. That's quite good, potential threat that will help you to prevent these fraud, the letter generation, fake letters and all, can be tracked, through the, or we can go back to obtain the information, accurate information, possible safeguard, obtain the additional advice, training, ensure enough time, get help, someone with the relevant knowledge, consult with okay, there is a whistleblower concept. So whistleblowing can be in our organization. So we have a drop boxes and independent department, compliance department can be in place. So policy handling the client money. The client money are any fund or the form of the document, the title of the money or the document title, which can be converted into the money that the member in practice hold on the behalf of the client. They don't include the fees of the work done or the fees paid in advance for the work to be done. That's really we need to be look around the use of the control of the client own account. So accountant must take the custody of their client's money to other assets unless they are permitted to do so by law, not otherwise. The fund, from HMRC received on the behalf of the client, the fund and the member of the practice assist, So these are the issues can be a lot. Contingency fees can be one of the issue which we shouldn't. So policies separation, handling the client money. So we separate them. The use the client money should be used only for the purpose which they are intended to. Accountability must be ready at all time. Accounts for the money to be authorized inquiry. So these, we can, because otherwise can be asked, and proceed of the crime act offenses, fraud in the false representation, fraud in laying or disclosure the information, and fraud the abuse of the position. You're a financial management, financial directors, and various others. So we can look around these fraud, and we have to protect these, and it leads to confidentiality disclosures. Of course, all laws, DPA, now we have a GDPR, like whenever we go on any website, now we have to accept the cookies, because that's, yes, that's we need to be look around in term of, okay, so that can lead to be, even if you're thinking, come on, I can set up back office outside EU. So we have to get the information, we have to get the permission from ICO, like a call center, like account department, which we want to back office in abroad. So because we are giving data and the client data, invoices and everything that leads to, so we have to be failure to notify, it leads to be a criminal offense. And the ICO we need to be, because within EU it's used to be fine. Of course, now we have a Privacy Act, going to be a lot of legislation in the process of changing. So those we have to relook, these confidentiality and disclosures. Of course, SAR allow you to get the information of the client, or if your client is leaving, of course, it's our responsibility to document to the new accountant, and these, must be authorized. And we need authorization letters and things for the protecting our interests and the client interests both. Those, SOPs need to be in place, and that will help you. Okay, any questions from anyone? So today lesson we discuss about ethics, 5 professional code of ethics, special behavior, competence, duty, confidentiality, integrity, and objectivity, self-interest, self-review, advocacy, intimidation, and leads to be. So we have to draw the safeguard, and we discuss about money laundering, react misuse, and computer misuse. So these are the legislation with key focus in accounting profession, and we have to draw the our interest as well as our. So thanks for attending. Anybody, any questions before we summarize?
All good from me, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please. Anybody, anyone else? Any questions? I think so. Okay, so that's all from my end, and next lesson we'll go through our next fellows, and we'll do the assignment discussion then. And have a lovely weekend. Hope I will speak to you all during our next lesson. So I'm here. If you have any questions, please you can ask. Otherwise, we'll keep up to here. Thanks for attending. Have a lovely weekend.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.